I have ranked weapons, I have ranked armor, I have ranked biomes where people live in RimWorld, but today we are ranking all the factions that you can go and find out there in the Rim. These are vanilla factions, not modded ones. There can be a million different modded ones. We're focusing on vanilla right now. And we're going to be ranking them based on how badass they are, how cool they are, how much they will provide for you in the long run, how big of a deal they are in the actual playthrough, and how much they can also hurt you. So, let's begin. First, we start with a gentle tribe. These guys will start off neutral. They'll come with trade with you. They will bring pemmican and they will bring herbal meds. They can be a decent early game friend where you might be struggling for medicine and pemmican, and they can also offer quite some interesting stuff through their shaman merchants, so you could benefit from that as well. And usually they are not really worth breaking the trust with and attacking them because you're not really gonna get much out of their caravan. And if you do though, they will be easy to kill. They're tribes people. They usually don't have much armor and they usually do not have good weapons, so meh. But since they are decent early game friends, we're gonna put them out here in the middle of the pack into B tier. Next we have Fierce Tribe and Savage Tribe. Those two are pretty much very much the same. We're gonna start with Fierce Tribe. These guys are your early game threat. They're gonna come with bows and arrows and spears and clubs and all that stuff, and they will try to hurt you. And since early game you're usually not that well equipped, you don't have your defenses prepared, these guys can definitely pose a problem. Later on down the line, they will of course replace their lack of firepower with just numbers, and eventually there's gonna be so many of them that you're just gonna be choking on bodies as you mow them down with absolute ease, because they are made out of paper basically, and you will just have to be constantly dealing with many corpses to either burn them or bury them or feed them to your dogs. But they do get pretty obnoxious later down the line. They're just an annoyance, nothing good. You can actually treat with them and release the prisoners and make them neutral, but they tend to go back to hostile. We're gonna put them down here in the C tier. Now Savage Tribe, they are pretty much the same as the Fierce Tribe, but you can never actually go to neutral with them. They will always stay mad no matter how many colonists you or how many prisoners you release and give back to them. They will always be mad. They will always want to backstab you. So if you try to go neutral with these guys just to remove the annoyance of that threat, these guys will always remain there and just be an annoyance, not an actual threat. We're gonna put them out here in the C tier next to the Fierce Tribe. We have two more tribes and it does not get any better. First we have the Cannibal Tribe. These guys are pretty much the same as the Savage Tribe. You can never go and get them to neutral, so they will always be an obnoxious annoyance out there throwing bodies at you. And at the same time, they're all cannibals. So if you're trying to go for a playthrough where you're gonna recruit as many people as possible, recruiting these guys is kind of useless because they are cannibals and then they desire cannibal food, since you usually don't really want to provide meals with meat of humans, because some other colonists might be annoyed because you butchered humans and not everybody is a psychopath. You can see how this can spiral into more annoyance if you try to recruit them. So these guys are just worse than the Savage Tribe, that if you recruit, at least they'll be like, hey, yeah, okay, we'll stab your enemies for you. No, F tier for these guys. And what do we dislike even more than cannibals? Nude people. Yes, these are the nudist tribe, and once again, they can be pretty annoying. The good thing is they're at least a neutral tribe, okay? They're at least a neutral tribe, so unless you piss them off, which you really shouldn't be pissing them off, because if a caravan comes and you attack them to get their goods, like, they usually don't have that much, and you can't even get gear off their bodies because they're nude. They're freaking naked usually. And then if they raid you, at least I guess you don't need to strip them. There's that point. But still, look, you are a nudist tribe. in a RimWorld where pretty much everything tries to hurt you and kill you. Not very smart. And having nudist colonists, if you recruit them, one of the most annoying things. F tier. Now we go a bit more civilized. We have the Civil Outlander Union. These guys are basically you, but they managed to survive and now they thrive on this RimWorld. Basically, that's what it is. Now, these guys can be a really good friend in need that you can befriend and, you know, they'll come and help you with raids, or they're going to be a great trading partner because they will have all the resources you want. Unlike the tribes people, these guys will actually have good resources, or they can be a really good early game threat where you raid them. You know, they come to trade with you and you ambush them and take their stuff, and you can, with that, really boost up your colony. So whatever you decide to do, they will always be very useful. So I think these dudes deserve to be an S tier. They are ever present and cool. Next, we have Rough Outlander Union. These guys are your worthy opponents. They are hostile towards you, but they're not dicks like pirates, because you can actually, if you want to, release people and make friends with them. You know, not exactly friends, but you can get them to neutral. Sure, it's gonna go back towards being hostile, but you can at least, if you don't want to be raided as much, you can just tell them, hey, we're cool, okay? Here's some friends that you can have back. We're decent. And, you know, when they raid you, these usually can be the best colonists that you can recruit from these troops. So that's pretty good. And they also have decent weapons and armor that you can strip off their corpses. So I think they deserve, as a worthy opponent they are, an A tier. Now we have the Pirate Gang. These are the natural raiders. They offer a consistent threat throughout the whole campaign. They will always try to hit you, and you have to respect that, right? You have to give them respect. But unlike the tribes people that try to raid you, these guys at least have firepower to back up what they want to do. And the advantage they have on the tribes people is the ability to also siege your colony, or use drop pods to drop right on top of you. So that makes them more dangerous than the normal tribes people. And you know, that because of that, you have to give them more respect. You cannot get them to neutral. So they will always be hostile. They will always want to fight you. But you can get some decent recruits from these dudes as well. So I think they deserve to be somewhere in the middle. We're going to put them out here in the B tier. Next, we have the Cannibal Pirate Gang. These guys, while they're same as these pirates, are obnoxious because, once again, same as with the Cannibal Tribe, everybody is a cannibal. So if you get recruits, they're going to be cannibals, and that could prove to be a bit problematic in your colony, as we were talking about before. Also, I really wouldn't want to have my colonists kidnapped by the cannibal pirates, because we all know what's going to happen to them. These guys suck. F tier. Next, we have Empire, added by royalty. These ones are one of the most complete factions out there, with most things going on around them with quests and stuff like that. Of course, they're gonna come to you and they might offer you the titles of royalty if you do certain things for them, which can be pretty cool. But then your colonists that do have titles are gonna start demanding more and more of you, having like throne rooms and wearing capes and bullshit like that, which can be pretty annoying. Also, the most annoying part, which in my opinion is the anti-fun thing that Tynan loves to add into his game, is that implant the Empire has, that if you fight them, they are just gonna destroy all of their loot they have. And their bio-coded weapons. The really amazing weapons are bio-coded, so you can't really use them. In my opinion, that is anti-fun. Oh, it would make the colonists too powerful. Yes, but then send more powerful enemies against them, you know? And it's just that ever-expanding war of greatness. Not destroy all gear and loot right away. Anti-fun. So that makes me not so excited about the Empire, I gotta admit. But this is my problem with the DLCs. Let's not go into that. Empire are amazing faction. I really think they're great. You can either be their enemy or their friend, and both of those lines can have its own benefits, right? So just because of that implant, I'm gonna put them into A tier, down in S tier. This is very biased, but A tier, that's what they deserve. Next on the list we have Ancients. These guys don't really exist as a faction because these guys are the sleeping people that you can find in Ancient Dangers. They can be great recruits for your colony, usually very easy to recruit. They very often come with some good gear and some good weapons that you can either loot or keep on them. And while you do have to fight for them, I think they offer some great potential, as I said, for recruits and, you know, added recruits over people that come and raid you. Now, that being said, they don't really exist as a faction otherwise, so we can't really call them a proper faction. They're just some dudes sleeping around, and no matter what you do with them, or you kill them, you kidnap them, or you try to help them, doesn't really affect your gameplay at all. So because of that, we can at best put them out here into C tier. Next on the list, we have Mechanoids. Mechanoids are the faction when it comes to great balancing of risk versus reward, in my opinion. They are your endgame enemy. They will always pose a threat. No matter how powerful your colony, they will always pose a threat. But with that risk comes great reward, because you can disassemble them and get some really good loot. You know, no matter what's gonna happen, you'll be able to get something out of them when they come and raid you. It is also very satisfying to destroy their ships after they annoy you, and those ships destroyed will once again give you more better loot. You know, risk versus reward, it's always useful. It also feels very good to destroy their clusters that can drop all over the map. Sure, those clusters can annoy you in many various ways, but again, they can offer some good loot. And also a mood boost to your colonists, and, you know, of course, resources. So I think Mechanoids, I really respect them as an enemy. They're great in that regard, and they offer resources. So in my opinion, one of the best factions out there. We're gonna put them out here into S tier. Last but not the least, we have the Insects. These guys have the big coolness factor going with them, in my opinion. They're a cool freaking faction. Unfortunately, they are usually there to destroy your perfect bedrooms. They tend to spawn in bedrooms. I know, they spawn underneath the solid rock roofs. That's where they're gonna spawn. They love darkness, and they love to just dig from the ground when you drill and then destroy things. I think they could be worked on as a faction, and, you know, with some like vanilla expanded mods where you have them have queens and all that stuff, they can be even better. You know, if that was actually put into the base game, I think that would make them really a much cooler faction. But even then, right now, they do feel pretty good, you know? They are a threat that you have to worry about, but they're never too big of a threat that they would be just overpowering. They do not offer as much when it comes to risk versus reward. The reward is not that great, but, you know, at least you can sell the insect meat, and you have the jelly that, you know, can make you happy and all that stuff. So we're gonna put them right here out in the middle. And that is my ranking for the factions. Let me know if you agree with this or you disagree with this. What would you put into S tier? What would you put into F tier? And if you haven't seen my other rankings, you know, there's always a link up there. So check them out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.